I don't know if you remember, in the book and the movie of Catch-22, there was this strange character called Milo Minderbinder. He was the bloke, he was a sort of wrangler, and he bought up excess amounts of things that nobody wanted and then dumped them on some unsuspecting customer. I mention him because I think there's somebody like that working in the Los Angeles restaurant scene. I'll tell you why. A couple of years ago, you go into a restaurant, you say, can I have some broiled chicken or steak, please? The stuff would come mesquite grilled. Mesquite? What's wrong with charcoal? Well, obviously there was some bloke down in Texas with an enormous surplus of mesquite, thought, I know, I'll dump it on the Los Angeles restaurant people. They won't know the difference. Well, last year there was obviously a glut of raspberries somewhere. You couldn't go into a restaurant without getting raspberry vinaigrette all over your food. Slosh, slosh, slosh. I don't want that junk on my food. This year, cilantro. Now, cilantro is some strange little herb related to coriander. It's in Mexican cooking and Indian cooking. Now it's in American cooking. I mean, it's vile, it's bitter, it's horrible. It has no redeeming values whatsoever, unless the fact you taste it 3 days later on your breath. I can't stand the stuff. I've even formed a society, SOCS, Stamp Out Cilantro Society. I'll tell you what I want when I go into a restaurant, meat and 2 veg. One of the key questions in Hollywood is, how much are you worth? Well, I've found out the way to gauge how much you're worth in Hollywood. It's down to access to phone numbers. You meet a Hollywood executive, he says, I like you, give me a call at the office. Here's my direct line. Direct line? Wow, I'm in. You dial the number, you find that you're connected to his secretary's secretary. Not such a big deal, right? No matter, next time you see this guy, he says, never mind, you couldn't get through to me, give me a call at home. Well, now you're in 7th heaven, you've been given a star or an executive's home phone number. You dial the number, can't get through, it's an answering machine. And then it dawns on you, aha, there's more than one line at home. He has his personal line for his friends, and he has another line hooked up to a machine for people like you. No matter, you have a real target. You're after his car phone number. You see, these multimillionaires have to pay for their car phones, not just the outgoing calls, but the incoming calls as well. They cost 45 cents just to pick up the phone. So if he doesn't give you his car phone number, you know what you're worth. You're not worth 45 cents. And if you're not worth 45 cents, it's time to leave town. What do people read in Hollywood? Well, to hear the people from Hollywood tell it, all they ever do is read scripts, and nothing but the scripts. And no one will admit to reading these, the supermarket tabloids, with all the juicy stories that we enjoy so much. I thought I'd check up on Hollywood. I called down to Florida, where these magazines are published from, and I asked them, do you by any chance sell any copies of your magazines in LA? Are you kidding? They said, we sell more copies in LA than anywhere else. So obviously it's a guilty pleasure. Now, it's clear to see why it's a guilty pleasure, because these magazines are such fun. Everybody wants to know who's sleeping with who. We all want to read the details on that juicy Hollywood party where there's a goat and a vicar involved with some top star and a piece of strategically placed asparagus. I mean, and best of all, everybody's got to read and look at those photographs of the glitzy parties and how trashily dressed everybody is at those parties. So, obviously, Hollywood loves those magazines. And there's another reason why the people buy them in Hollywood. They buy them for 2 reasons. One, they want to see if they're in those magazines. And secondly, and more importantly, where do you think they get the ideas for all those trashy movie of the weeks? So when they buy those magazines, they say to themselves, I'm reading a script. Do you remember that great ending to Casablanca, where Humphrey Bogart goes up to Ingrid Bergman and says, what do you want to waste the rest of your life with that freedom fighter jerk for? Come away with me, we'll open up our own bar, we'll have a great time. Do you remember that? Or what about the ending of Gone with the Wind, where Clark Gable says to Vivien Leigh, well, you are a spoilt brat, but I love you so much, I'm going to live with you and be your slave for the rest of your life. Don't remember that either? Well, of course not, because those would have been artificial happy endings that Hollywood would have grafted onto those films. And Hollywood in the old days was wise enough to know that you don't do that. Of course, these days, Hollywood is obsessed with the idea of a happy ending. I call it the happy ending machine. They always have to put some artificial, smiley ending to every film, practically. And it's ridiculous. They say, if we don't do that, the audiences won't come. Well, of course, the audiences went to see Casablanca and Gone with the Wind.
Just think how we could improve films if they did that the way they used to in the old days. I mean, like The End of Working Girl. Harrison Ford goes up to Melanie Griffiths and said, "Sorry, dear, I'm going to marry Sigourney Weaver." And the boss fires Melanie Griffiths for her insubordination, and she ends up working a department store demonstrating how to use a vacuum cleaner wearing no clothes. That would have been a better ending. Or about E.T., that moment when E.T. goes up in the bicycle, goes up into the heavens, E.T. leans out of the basket for a better glimpse of the earth below, and straight down into Mount Vesuvius. That's what I would call a real happy ending machine.